Hello and welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And of course, it's a wonderful morning. It's bright and early. And this is the Good Morning Education Show. Today is the 20th of October 2021, a Wednesday to be precise. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us. And I would like to say thank you, Olabisi Afolabi. Thank you for joining. I'd like to say thank you to Gideon Essien. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining and connecting with us. The Good Morning Education Show is a sweet subject development experience online. It's a show that caters to your needs. It's a show that brings you information within and around the world of education. We spend some time to educate ourselves and tackle issues bordering education for both professional stakeholders, regulators, practitioners as well. And on the Good Morning Education Show, we always have a great time on the show. In fact, you will catch us saying it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Today is not going to be an exception. We're going to start the show today on a very good note. And I just want to thank you all for joining us. And if this is your first time, please do let us know. We would like to hear from you. Tell us it's your first time, and we'll ring the bell of blessing to you. The Good Morning Education Show is a show that runs all through the week, Mondays to Sundays. On Mondays to Fridays, you can catch us 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Saturday begins the weekend special. And then on Saturday, you can actually catch us 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. While on Sunday, it is actually a different timing, which is actually 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. On each of these days, we bring together analysts and experts who share their views and their thoughts on the subject matter of the day so that it comes as a robust conversation where we can learn one or two things and apply to our daily lives, our profession, our businesses, and our service delivery. Always a great time. Today, we're going to start with the news headlines and, and then we'll move straight over to the conversation of the day. So we're going to start with the news headlines, and we're going to be starting with a celebration story, a story of celebration. Um, we're going to start by saying there's a school called Victory High School, and the whole students of Victory High School celebrate 40th anniversary. That's a big one. That's a huge one. Congratulations to these people. Victory High School old students celebrate 40th anniversary. That's sweet, that's sweet, that's sweet. We say congratulations to Victory High School, and we pray that they have continued celebration, reasons to celebrate um, as well. So we're going to the next headline, still on a very good note now. We're moving from celebration to instruction. And this time around, it says Yabatech ASU condemns assault on members. If you've heard us say before, we're saying again, it seems like this is the year of higher institutions because we've been having higher institutions, glaze the news. The Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics ASU, Yaba College of Technology chapter, has decried the recent assault on one of its members, a computer science lecturer, by soldiers. The union also announced plans to build an ICT center at the Ekpe campus of the institution for the benefit of members. It said already the management has allocated land for the project. Addressing journalists recently, the chairman, Mr. Olusegun Ajiboye, said the affected lecturer intervened when the soldiers were assaulting some students on campus, and the military men also manhandled him. He disclosed that the physical assault of the lecturer, who is also an assistant secretary of ASU, led to the loss of a tooth, and he had since received treatment at the hospital. He said the manual of the college got across to the commander, and the soldiers were arrested, and they agreed to settle the hospital bills. This is quite disturbing, I believe, because it could have been worse. And what would the conversation have been? So apologies to the lecturer, and we hope that this case is investigated and the culprits are dealt with decisively. Let's move to the next news. Striking SANU workers denied access to Taraba Varsity facility. Okay, so this is the conversation around strikes now. It says that um, the ranking in the Taraba State University has taken a different dimension as the striking non-academic staff was denied access to the school facilities. This was observed as the Union's General Congress scheduled to take place in one of the halls ended up taking place under one of the numerous trees located in the university premises. The non-academic staff of the university made up of both the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria University, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Nigeria University, NASU, under the umbrella of the Joint Action Committee, Taraba State University chapter. It would be recalled, it will be recalled and drawn down to for the past 1 month as a result of what they describe as injustice. Well, we pray that all this injustice will be sorted out as soon as possible. Our university system really deserves, how do I put it, a smooth session. You know, we hope that happens. All right. So the next headline. And before I do that, let me welcome the full following. Good morning. Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine this morning. It's a beautiful morning, and it's a pleasure to be on the show today.
We can't see your face. So how do we know how beautiful it is? All right.
Uh, my voice does a lot of that. You just trust that I'm fine.
You are joining the NSAS protest. We don't have talks in our schools across River State. That's teachers lament. We don't have talk in our schools. I want you to, talk about that.
I can't believe first that we're even talking about chalk in 2021. Um, Even if you don't have smart boards in the classrooms, that may be overreaching. That may be asking for too much, but at least there should be whiteboards at this time. Talking about chalks, then we're talking about either a blackboard or the walls painted black and then they write on and all of that. And we are talking about the future of education already. Why are we dancing backwards or reversing when we actually should be making moves to move forward? So I mean, this is not even it's not even right on any level to think that the school is sorry that they're even in the era of blackboard, and then it's bad enough that they use the blackboard. They still do not have chalks. No. Uh,
You're speechless. Well, I'm not surprised because I go around and Cross River State is a familiar state. In fact, I'll be in Cross River State next month, and I'll be speaking at a program there. And to be honest, we need to salute teachers across the country and across the world. We need to salute them for how they, stand in the gap and brave the odds. Talks are not strange. You were saying blackboard. I didn't want to tell you some things, but we have cemented boards, we have plastered boards, uh, we have some what we call cake, cake boards, but that's not the issue. But yeah, that's reality, and it's unfortunate that resources are not available even to manage that, which seems to be a bit of a deficit in experience. It's just almost what it is. You understand?
Hmm.
Students sit on floor windows to learn in Delta schools.
Yeah, this just follows in line with what we're just talking about, blackboards. And I know that the reality in many of the schools, especially in the public schools, the reality is horrifying. I'm very aware of that, but it should not be. We shouldn't take it as norm. We shouldn't take it as well. For some people, at least they have a portion of their class wall that they can use as a board. It really should not be. When we consider where we are right now, or where the world is right now in education, and then we look at our position and the things look at this. Students sit on the floor and on windows. How conducive is that to learning? How does a child assimilate what they're being taught by sitting on the floor? I mean, it's not only about the hardness of the floor, it's about the posture also. There is no way they sit on the floor that they can, well, they can sit against the wall, but to write, for them to do that from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Man, these are things that we really should be calling out the state government and even the federal government out on. I know there are some classrooms where they don't even have roofs, or some that they don't even have a classroom at all. They learn under trees, they learn under the clouds and all of that. And you expect, and unfortunately, the teachers involved in this thing are also not being paid. So the problem is multifaceted. The problem is really compounded, and we keep excusing these things like, oh well, well, at least it's better in this place. So, no, this is not normal at all. It's not normal, and it's not that the states or the federal governments are incapable of doing anything about this. The other time we talked about bringing together all stakeholders. These are some of the things we should be talking about in stakeholder meetings.
All right. We can hear you loud and clear. I have a different view. Well, not necessarily different view, but I need to add to what you've said. And the addition pretty much is going to be um, a situation and a scenario, you know, where you find out that people in their own right, do you get in their own space, in their own, get to be able to do that, you know. So take for example what you mentioned just now. You have a situation where people, um, it's not the norm, as it were. If it was a situation of innovation and creativity, I believe that there would have been a better experience and approach to these things, you know. So this is my own take when you look at things like that, you know. So what's your take on that, please?
Well, I don't think it's a thing of creativity. We're not lacking in creativity. We're not lacking in innovation. You know, in some of these public schools, you find that some teachers have carried the burden of the students, but there's just so much they can do. Some of them go as far as helping students get uniforms, get shoes, get school bags. Some of them help with other school supplies that the children need. Some of them have devised other means of teaching so that their students can get the best out of the situation, they can make the best out of the bad situation that they are already in. Yes, the teachers and even administrators are trying, but uh, there's just a limit to how far they can. There's just a limit to how far they can stretch their creativity before they begin to get tired, before they give up and feel like, oh look, after all, I'm not the parent of this child, or I'm not the one who is going to save the world. It just gets to that point where if their creativity was matched with adequate support, I think Nigerian teachers would be limitless, would be that what they can churn out would just be very, very amazing. Having walked into classrooms to see what these teachers are doing, even with the limited resources they have. So just give them the right kind of support, give them the right kind of uh, uh, supply what they need, and watch them turn things around.
Fantastic. Um, so a better story now. Green Springs wins BIEA 2021 STEM Ambassador Awards.
One thing I would say is that Green Springs really is blazing the trail, and they're really, I mean, they're in the news for all the right reasons, and this is another feather in their cap, and I say congratulations to them. And if other schools would not think that it's demeaning for them, if they do not think that it's a uh, if they're not going to get into unhealthy competition, then it's time to begin to study Green Springs and ask, how are they doing it? What are they doing? How can we also continue to just how can our laurels also be, because really it's not so much for the school, but all of these awards and all of this landmark uh, achievements that they're recording, it's actually their students, and those are lives already being set on the right trajectory. So can we look at multiplying this across board, or to a large extent covering a large demographic, and looking at, oh, how can we get our students to be leaders and leading in every sphere of endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Delta Teacher emerges 2021 Martina Teacher of the Year Award.
Happy for this teacher, and I'm glad that the reward of teachers is here on earth and also in heaven. The reward is double edged, and for the this recognition, it's a great one. I think with the Multina Teacher of the Year award, it's an annual thing, and it's something that teachers would definitely strive towards winning the award. And striving towards winning the award means that they are better in service delivery, they're better in personal development, they're better in classroom management, in teacher student relations. They're better all round. So it's a win-win for us, even if some teachers had desired to win the award and they didn't. They can try again. They can try again next year and win it. But as they are trying, and as they are putting in efforts to emerge teacher of the year, they're also getting better. Their students are having the recipients of they're getting better. So yeah, congratulations to that teacher, and I'm hoping to see this become maybe one of the encouraging factors for teachers to put in their best and be better at what they do.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And then there's another news I'd like you to talk about. Nigerians don't need to study medicine abroad, says Jomao, that's PAMO University.
This is true. Nigerians actually do not need to study medicine abroad. Was it yesterday or the day before? Dr. Akinwumi Adesina celebrated his niece for emerging the best medical students from the Obafemi Awolowo University. She got some awards. I think she also got a scholarship or something. And before her, maybe the first generation or the early generation of teachers that we had of doctors that we had in the country were trained here. They were home trained, homebred. And even till now, we have colleges of medicine churning out excellent doctors, and that's why we have doctors who other countries are willing to take. So there are issues within the country, and they are yearning to leave, and other countries are taking them, and they get there and become geniuses. The first what is it, brain and nephrologist, and there's a very unique combination of surgeon. The only person who is that combination in the world right now is a Nigerian doctor. So yeah, this is not even, we don't even need to debate this and think, oh, just studying abroad is much better for our doctors. No, we have all the resources here. We have the brains. We probably do not have the facilities and the equipment they need and the encouragement they need, considering the ratio of doctors to patients. uh, Sometime in 2019, I had to be in the hospital for quite a while for a relative, and I saw the way these doctors work. Some of them run 3-day shifts, day and night. And at a point, I felt like, can I just go and bring food for these people? Can I just, because in their they're in the theater, and they're trying to catch something to eat. They're trying to catch, while they are there, there's an emergency, and they're still going to call them from the theater. So all of these things put together is what makes it look as if the medical uh, industry or the medical sector in the country, it makes it look like, oh, it's a joke, but it's not. Our doctors are putting in the work. Their education and their training is not subpar. We only need to improve on conditions, improve on the facilities available to them, improve on their remuneration, improve on the way they are also addressed and the way they are seen. I mean, not just saying that, oh, if all of them leave, we won't have, if 200,000 doctors leave the country, we will not have a dearth of doctors. Who does that?
All right. Back to Yabotech. Yabotech Rector, all funding implementation, in technical education.
Okay, yeah, this is not new, so we know this already. And my question would always be, in your own space, what are you doing? What are you doing to arrest the situation? We may not be able to. We just talked about teachers' creativity and innovation. So, in their own space, what are they doing to make the best of what is available? And then, when what is available, you make the most of it, you're able to turn it around to generate some income for you, or you're able to turn it around to attract sponsorships or collaborations. That it's This is an age-long problem. Governments after governments have passed it on. Poor funding in the education sector is not new. So if anybody right now is saying, oh, poor funding is a problem of education, you're not telling us something we don't already know. What we want to know or what we want to see is what you're doing to mitigate the effect of poor funding on your institution.
But then, of course, the conversation now comes to the fact that if we have poor funding and it's something that is still there, should we now close our eyes and not mention the issues that are wrong?
What is wrong? but we also will not dwell on what is wrong. We also will not take what is wrong as an excuse to completely look helpless, or to completely just say, oh, there's nothing we can do. After all, the government is not funding us. If the government is not funding us, what can we do? At a point, we were asking, should we cut off the marks or should we cut off JAMB? This is what it is now. Should we cut off the government or should we cut off our education completely? So we're not saying that the government will not or should not be held accountable to do what they ought to do, but we won't sit on that and say, oh, because the sector is poorly funded, then we throw our hands up helpless. No.
I agree with you. I agree with you. That's important. We need to get to that point. Okay, moving on. Popular public interest in running universities will boost accountability.
Absolutely. I'm on the same call with this. Yes. When there is a public interest, they would call you out. They will, if we're all involved in running something, or if you have people who have vested interest, even if the interest is in, I want my child to graduate after 4 years or after 5 years, whatever the length of their study is, then we would all come together to ensure that all that needs to be done is done. We would ensure that, oh, administration is running perfectly, or is running well. It may not be perfect. The lecturers are doing what they ought to do. The students are also playing their parts. Parents are doing what they should. It's going to be, uh, yeah, a community run thing. And then maybe all the blame that we put on the government to make it look like this is why things are not running, then we will see that those things are actually excuses. And the government doesn't like competition. They will just somebody one it will just become, when the just thing happened and different state governments started extracting the indigents from there, it suddenly became, oh, let me also be part of the news. So when we have all of the government is put on its toes, then probably we just begin to see the change that we desire. But I strongly align with this, that public interest, and not just public interest, but public participation in running universities will definitely boost accountability.
Thank you very much. Let's head on to the topic of the day: surviving Nigeria. And we've already done that before, the discovery of the fact that coincidentally it's an anniversary of the NSAS protest shooting at the Lekki toll, and so many things, and there are different reasons why this topic has come up, but it's not in any way directly linked to that. It's just taking into context our social reality as a people. And I want us to, look at it as the topic says surviving Nigeria. It's ultimately number one for those who are watching and will watch much later. It's not talking about rejecting and and letting go Nigeria. Not necessarily that. It's saying surviving Nigeria. How do we ensure that this is the kind of interpretation that every Nigerian has? That you are in this country, or you represent one, or you belong to this country. Survival is not something you must take. It must be by choice. It mustn't be left to chance. You must have some deliberateness in you, and you must have your own way to survive the country, the right way, the legal way, the lawful way, the moral way. But you need to survive Nigeria. How do people do it? How is FEE doing it? How is the entire thing? How are you guys getting a hangover? Living the life, taking ice cream, doing all the things that you need to do. You know. Okay, over to you, Fee.
Okay. Okay, so we had a show on Sunday from an ice cream place, and we were being intimidated by the ice cream, and for some reason that is showing up again. Well, in if we even have to start from that point, when our parents were in the university, part of what they had was school lunches, breakfast. They had school meal, and yeah, we heard about the half chicken, and then they had desserts, they had ice cream, they had salads served to them as part of school meal. These days, it's a treat. You promise children to take them out for ice cream as a treat, because we all are in this survival mode. I mean, just yesterday, I saw somebody's post, and she really was lamenting that Titus sardine is now 700 naira per tin, and
Hmm?
it's not that. Yes, it's not 700. She actually did a video of the supermarket rack where the stuff are, and in my head I just ticked it off, like, okay, so it's not compulsory to eat 3 pieces of fish. Unfortunately, the pieces of fish have even reduced. There are no longer 3 in the thing, now there are 2, and the price has gone up. You get to different restaurants now, and you're seeing notices that, oh, due to the increasing rate of food prices, we've had to adjust our price. You can't hold them, you can't hold that against them, because the reality of the matter is that 12 kg um, um, cooking gas is now between 7,800 naira and 8,500 naira. How are we surviving it? And when we look at the definition of survival, it's a state of having to continually live or exist in a difficult circumstance. That's what we have found ourselves in now. So instead of us just living and enjoying our lives, doing what is necessary for us to enjoy, we now have to put in extra efforts to ensure that we're not dropping below the survival line. We're not dropping and becoming be fed on by the predators. That's what it's coming now to. It's not even about cutting your coat according to your size anymore. It's about just finding the fabric and ensuring that you're not naked. Just find a fabric. It may not even be able to make a coat. All it may be able to do is to make a cape. But if we're going to move out of this survival mode of constantly wanting to just stay afloat, then calling our governments to accountability is not negotiable. What is going on today with the End SARS anniversary protest is essential. We're not saying that it should turn violent, we're not saying that it should turn bloody, but accountability is expected of the government. You cannot take the lives of citizens that you are sworn to protect and then expect it to slip off like that, and expect it to not just for nobody to talk. Then we'll continue in the survival mode. I think I'll just stop there.
Well, while you're speaking, Molushola Lumide joined us and Titi as well joined us. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
everyone. Can you hear me?
Eh,
Good morning.
good morning. It's nice to see his face on a sunny morning like this. So that's lovely. I'm excited. Yes,
Good
Madam
morning.
Thank
Titi.
It's
Good
good to see
morning,
your
ma'am.
face.
It's as if
thank
this
you.
network is conspiring against you. Network should mind itself. Oh. Well, Naija lele.
Titi, we are due for an ice cream meeting, you know.
I'm telling you, what to me. And I know a new place.
Bring it on, bring it on. But how did you know a new place where you're supposed to be dieting? Titi. All right. So we're talking about surviving. Internet connection is also part of surviving Nigeria. Abi? All right, Olushola, please over to you. Let's hear your thoughts on the topic.
Yes, good morning. I think it's no longer a news that things are not where it should be in Nigeria. Actually, we're going through a lot. Why many people appear not to know is because probably you've not been to a saner or better climb. When you live here, you go where things are working, it is then you realize the magnitude of the rots and how much we are being colonized mentally in the wrong direction. I told a boy of mine who went to do his master's in the UK, and I said, my dear, you live in Nigeria all your life. You won't understand how far you've been affected. But now you're in a better climb. Please, you have to give it all it takes. You don't have to, there are prayer points. It was our condition that brought about those prayer points. They are not supposed to be prayer points. You are supposed to go somewhere and you needed to iron your clothes. And as at 12 midnight, there is no light. You have to go into prayer mode and say, God, let these people bring light. I need to iron my clothes. In where things are working, should that be a prayer point? Our cycle has really been affected, but all that being said, when things go wrong, please don't go wrong with them. You've got to be strong mentally. For me, I have observed I am one of the happiest people in life. I don't know. Not because I have money, but really I am unperturbed with a lot of things because the mental picture is clear. Somebody was here accusing me on Saturday. I said, your level of confidence, you are not repentant optimist. I am one, not because of what Nigeria is doing. And collectively, things will not get better for us. Individuals have to take their destiny in their hand. As an individual, you can be better. But collectively, take it from me, it will be better. So the earlier we realize this, I think the better. It will spur us into action. It will make us to rise and do the needful. Really, I pity people who are not futuristic. I pity people whose mind is being somehow trapped. I think I did a write-up early last year, a series, Avoiding Insanity. I think part 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I gave different scenario of what insanity can be. Somebody had 5 children, and I said, sir, please, can you pray for me? I should give birth to a boy. I was looking at the woman. Is it a boy that your matter requires now? You have 5 children. You are not thinking, because they are girls, you are not thinking how to take care of the 5 girls. You are still looking for prayer. God cannot afford to answer many prayers, or more people will run mad in this country. That is the reason we should think ahead. We should rise up to the occasion. And by the way, not everybody will have opportunity to escape, to travel overseas. It is not everybody. There is hunger in the land. Teachers, I want to plead with every educator listening to me, craft other source of income. Your take-home pay cannot take you home. Don't be a loafer. Don't be an onlooker in the affair of your own life. You don't need to steal. Don't cut corner. However, develop your skill set, multiply skill set that can bring multiple streams of income. I tell you, by the time you see people knocking at your gate, you open the gate and say, sorry, I am here to beg. There is nothing to eat at home. You just break down and say, God, what is this? A grown-up man, a grown-up woman, for him or her to have put aside his or her shame and come into your compound to come and beg for food? It shows there is hunger in the land. And one of the survival strategy in order to escape the poverty trap is to take the matter of your life more serious. Be more serious with your life than anything. Your life is a project. You cannot afford to abandon your life to chance. Thank you very much. Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. You've mentioned so many things and they're quite profound. I would like to add this to this introduction or conversation. And you said expecting the collective population to make things better is a long shot. It's almost like it's a must now to talk individual or personalized approach to surviving Nigeria. Titi, has this gotten to this point? Do you agree? And if yes, is it spelling hope or doom?
Is what spelling hope or doom?
Luciana mentioned that look, it's individual approach. Collectively, things will not necessarily appear to be going great. So individuals have to buckle up and just do things for themselves and themselves.
Individually, we can't do much. That's my take. We always need to do it for real change. We have to do things collectively. If we don't do things collectively, we won't see this kind of change that we need. One of the things that is missing in Nigeria a lot is driving and forcing accountability. And if we don't do that, you can only force accountability as a group. We can't force accountability on our one. Teachers don't have this general forum where we can all start. If something happens in education and we all start pushing back, you will see the government has to react. I mean, today is marking NSAS. NSAS, did they achieve all their objectives? No. But you know what? When people come together collectively to fight against something, usually it's never status quo. This time last year, we're talking about Black Lives Matter. We're talking about NSAS. It was when people rose up collectively that people had to make a shift. And I would say that the Black Lives Movement, caused there to be a change in a number of things. A lot of people now started having to increase, Black representation on their board. Google came up with a fund for Black founders. It caused there to be a push. Organizations had to say, you know what, I need to do something about this. And so for me, that's really the power of the corporate push. While we can, be fenced, mending our fences in our house, the truth is that if you and your estate don't come together as a collective one, the change that you really need will not happen. So as I say, even in terms of surviving Nigeria, I think that's one of the things that has been our downfall, us individually, trying to solve the problems in our little, as against coming together and raising our voice. So we need the one voice. We need the power of the crowd. And sometimes what it does is that it's not only in terms of government, also in terms of pushing back. That's why people have unions. Of course, unions can then get out of hand. But the truth is that the idea is that let's fight for the common good. Together we can fight, and really bring about a change rather than us going individually. So I'm for fighting as a group. I mean, there are some points that Mr. Olushola said, and that's really about teachers having multiple streams of income, so that your pay will take you home. I like that. I agree with that. But then again, we have to ask ourselves, what can we do as a group, in terms of pushing for, better salaries in terms of teachers. As far as I'm concerned, there are some minimum salaries that it shouldn't happen. So if a school is charging a particular school fees, then relatively, how much should they be paying their teachers? So I think there's some of things that we need to fight as a group. It's hard for one person or one lone wolf to fight some of those things. So we need to fight as a group. Should your school be insisting that you during the holidays you're doing summer school, or should it be a different money? So I think for me, that's some of what I'm just looking at. We need to then have some things that we push as a group. We have a collective group. You know how some people saying sign this petition. There's some things that we need to do a bit more of that. That's what drives that accountability. It's like how you have budget that came together and say, you know what, no, this budget, let's open out the something, let people be able to scrutinize it, let people be able to question. Because the more we question, the more they have to come back and say, what do we do? So we need that collective power. A lot of things that leaders do is divide and conquer, because they know that without that oneness, a lot doesn't get done. So that's just my thoughts there.
Thank you so much for that. I love the fact that you've also added flavor to it. And let's address this Japa concept, right? Because someone called me last night and said, you guys are treating Japa consciousness today. They want to hear, how do we plan to solve or survive Nigeria? So I'd like us to talk about this Japa concept. I even had a conversation with some close friends, and one of my friends was so emotional, he was almost crying. And when I was just talking about the realities of being in a country such as ours. And I know that some years ago, I've also had this feeling and experience some time ago, where I think I actually dropped a tear, because this was having to experience what people face in the emergency section. That's the emergency room of some hospital. And it's like people are not just, so it really moved some things. Things are happening, things are going on. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, Finn. Let's address this thing. Is Japa the way to go, or is Japa one of the ways to go? What should be the concept Japa? Can it be rewritten? Over to you.
When it comes to this Japa thing, one sure thing is that we all cannot go. It's not for all of us to be. So for those that will not be able to leave for different reasons, for some it's not even about the resources to leave. It's just for whatever reasons. So for those that will remain, what do we do to make this situation that we are in, to make it better, to make it bearable for us? I think that's what we're looking at, because some people eventually, after they go, they find out, oh, probably this environment is not for me. All I wanted was something better. All I wanted was a system that works. All I wanted was that what I'm making, I can work as hard as I'm working, and the pay I'm getting is commensurate, or the sales I'm making is commensurate, and I don't have to think about things like having to fix the road to my house, having to supply electricity for myself, get water, and be my own security person. No, that's all that they're looking for. But if I used to be a very strong advocate of, oh, home is home, I'm not going anywhere, I can only travel for holidays and all. But some years ago, that changed for me. I just told myself that, look, just count, be strategic about your move. Don't just leave because everybody's leaving out of frustration. Don't just leave because everybody is thinking, oh, things cannot get better. Right now, I cannot confidently say that, oh, things will get better, in all honesty. I can only say it out of optimism and say, ah, yes, yes, Nigeria will be better. But do I believe it? I don't even know. So if there is anybody who really feels like, look, my option right now is to live with my family. Live. I know of families of entire families that are living already, including grandparents. So the children are going with their own children and taking their parents along. So the entire families are leaving. It doesn't augur well for us as a nation, in reality. But also, we can also begrudge people who look at it and feel very hopeless. For as little as 2,000 naira, if 2,000 naira is even much, for as little as 500 naira, some lives are lost because they can't afford medication, or they can't afford even the taxi or a bus to take them to the nearest hospital to access medical care. And they are dying for as little as 500 naira, for 1,000 naira. People are starving, people are working, and it looks like, I mean, now they say you go to the market not only with a budget, not only with a list, but with prayer and with begging God for His grace. Because you pick one item and it looks as if you lost money, everything is gone. So yeah, if the option available to people is to go, please, we see you off with the grace of God and with prayers, and maybe see you there also when we make the move. But if you really feel like, okay, I might be able to make this work, then give it a try.
So those initially, it sounded like she was planning to stay behind on behalf of others that are leaving. But we've seen the clause and the caveats. Luciana wants to say something.
No, I'm just laughing at as it is now, it shouldn't be 11th commandment cast in stone. If you think going is okay for you, fine. The only thing I also want to let people realize is this. Kò ṣeré ní Moscow. You don't pluck money on trees, you walk. I spoke with a friend lately, and he was like, it's not easy. You have to walk 12 hours on your feet and all that. Do you know that Nigerians are not lazy? We have only formed a culture of laziness. The ineptitude, the indiscipline, the unseriousness we exhibit here. When we travel overseas, we dare not exhibit it over there. One of the reasons why things are working there. I'm not against somebody traveling, no problem. But on the flip side of the coin, if I am that committed and serious the way I do over there here, are we sure things will not be better? Are we sure there will not be an improvement? Yes. Over there, you pay your bills. Then I think another challenge we have in this part of the world, the sentiment is too much. There are certain things when you do, people look at you and say you are a devil, whereas you are not. My friend was telling me my rent was due at the end of the month. I told my landlord that, oh, please give me till the 1st. By the time I was going to the bank, I forgot my ATM card at home. When it was around 2 o'clock, the man called me and said, we have not paid your rent. What happened? He said, oh, sorry. He said, on the worst case scenario, you ought to have paid by 12 noon. Your money fell due yesterday. I gave you till today, and 12 o'clock, you didn't pay me. If you do that in Nigeria, somebody will say that you don't have make of compassion. Okay, if you guys are God, you will not allow rain to fall. Some of those sentiments have destroyed us. You demand for responsibility. People say you are wicked. If you don't pay your bills over there, I'm sorry, please have mercy on me. There's nothing like that. And that's why things are working. In Nigeria, you are owing for electricity. and they have to come and be begging you to pay for electricity. I bet, leave me. Like even Nigeria is owing. Who does that? It is good to go if you want to go. However, count the cost of what you are going to be in. You will work. If we can import that seriousness and mentality back, I think we are going to lift. We move substantially from where we used to be. But here, there is sentiment. Somebody came late to office, you gave him query, they said, see your brother. Sorry. The work that have been going on before you were born. You want to kill yourself because of somebody's work? And you are only telling people to be serious with work. But if salary delays, they will cry. These are some of the challenges we're having. I tell people, if the government is bad, we the people, we are worse. And that is where we are, If you want to travel, good. But I want you to know, they don't play overseas. So you pay your bills. So no excuses. So please have mercy on me. There is nothing like that. In fact, I have a friend in New Zealand. He said one of the worst things that can happen to you is for the landlord to eject you. The reason is this. The next accommodation you are going to get, they will ask you to bring letter from your former landlord. You know what that means? If you have problem with accommodation, it's about the worst thing that can happen to you there. So I think until we put our leg on the ground and do the needful, we won't shift. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'd like Titi to give us a closing shot on this. So much to say, but I know we just have to make things work, not just for the country, but for ourselves. And I know that there should be a way out of this. You know, surviving Nigeria is now not just a subject conversation. It should be a strategic agenda. Over to you, Titi. Titi, you're muted.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Okay, so what I would say is, despite all the difficulties in Nigeria, the land is green. And the land always looks greener on the other side. So I've heard people only tell the good stories of Japa. There are, other bad stories. It's the truth. So I would say for whatever it is, you need to decide. You need to ensure you do your research. And ask honest people. So some people japa and it takes them 3 to 5 years to settle down. So you need to be aware of that. Some people japa, they japa only by themselves, but you are planning to go with your whole family. Some people japa and tell you, oh, education is free, blah, 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 blah. Education here too is free. Oh. In case you don't know, public school, it is free. So you also need to ensure that you do all your research. So this education that is free, you need to understand what kind of free it is. So whatever it is that you're going, whichever way you're planning to do, I'll say do your research. Some jobs are easier on the other side because there are particular jobs they're looking for. So you have another skill in another area. You have to ask yourself, will I easily get a job? Will I easily find? So people that are jackpine, maybe a lot of it has to do with IT. Maybe a lot of it has to do with doctors and and nurses, and then you are in a particular area. I think you follow them to Anjakpa. So it's important that you do your research. I think that's what I really say. It's important that you do your research. What are your job opportunities? If not your current skill set, what changes do you need to make? How long will it take? I know people that Jakpa, they are doctors. The jobs are not in the cities. These jobs are in the rural areas. They're not in the city at all. So where you're staying is like going to our village. So you also need to get all these things. And remember that the school in the village is not the same thing as the school in the city. The healthcare, child care, so many things you have to think about. If you have 4 children and you go and Jakpa, means no house girl, nobody to help you. Are you ready to go back to washing plate, washing toilet? So so these are all the things that you also need to think about, even in terms of the culture, what your child will be. So I would say that anybody that wants to Jakpa, really think about it. Look at it. Also look at the opportunities that are here. So let's be honest. As difficult as Nigeria is, look at what's happening in the technology industry. Look at the growth. Look at the businesses that are booming, because the problems on this side of the country, It's solving problems that allow you to blow. So I think it's also important that we look at the opportunities that are also here. I know the terrain is tough. I know that it can be discouraging, but honestly, nothing good really comes easy, and I think it's important we look at that. All in all, I will end with this. I know my ending is long, but no matter where you jackpot to, the value that you have in that place is proportionate to the value of your country. No matter where you jackpot to, the value you have in that place is proportionate to the value of your country. So if you jackpot to wherever it is, you are valued based on where you come from. So wherever you go, even when you exchange your passport for another passport, the value that immediately they see of you is equivalent to the value of your country that you come from. So if your country that you live keeps going down, your value in that other place is relative to that. I remember someone that came to talk about sports, and he talked about it that the more Nigerian wins matches, the more value the players can get abroad. But if the team is going down, the national team is going down, they don't consider the players as much. So it's important we note that no matter how you're Japan, people ask anybody anywhere in the world right now, whether they're in Canada, ask them the perceived value of that person is relative to the country you're coming from. So when you say you come from Europe, you have a higher value because your country is perceived as much. When you say you come from Africa, they will ask you which of the countries. So the more our country gets better, that's why if you say you're coming from fintech, your technology now, because of what is happening in the fintech industry in Nigeria, that's why we have value there. That's why the technology is having value there, because of the value that we have here. It's only after COVID and the way Nigerians reacted to COVID that the values of our doctors went up. Yes, so then now UK now start looking to poach our doctors. If we had not managed COVID the way we did, where we were singing a different song when we came to WHO, I'm telling you, the value of our doctors will not have gone up in market price. So with all our jackpine, we need to understand that our value outside the world is equivalent to the value that we create here. Sorry for my long story. Over to other people. Thank you.
It's actually not long story. That's a perfect ending, the perfect ending. I totally love what you've said, and I believe that it's quite instructive as well, that people should understand, and this was what my friend was saying, which I think, is because you said it now, I wish I would have kind of portrayed it in a different light. And he said something. He said that he was traveling to a country, Georgia, and connecting through Dubai. When he got to Dubai to connect, they told him that they saw his passport. You can't travel. We can't allow you to fly from here because you're Nigerian. And Georgia, as a country, has already given the rule that you can actually fly in with Nigerian passport to get your visa on arrival. Do you know my friend literally fell ill? Because it kind of broke his heart. This is someone who believes in Nigeria, who's raised hopes of people in Nigeria, all those things, and like you said, that's just it. And I think a lot of people need to understand that it's not just a change of location. It's much more than a change of geographical location, and for those of us who are here, who will still be here or who plan to, nurture, weather the storm, one of the things I believe that you need to do is don't just be an ordinary person. In Nigeria, you need to move away from just being ordinary. You need to be, like some people say, is the person that they know that knows, so you must know the way, as it were. And I believe that things will be fine. Well, this is what we can take for today's show, and we will be here tomorrow, God willing, and another conversation we'll be having as well. Thank you, Titi. Thank you, Lushola. Thank you, Fini Folu. Thank you to Gideon Essien. Thank you to Afolabi. Thank you to Alero for joining us all together today. And all those who joined, I didn't mention them. And thank you as well. To those who watched the replay, thank you. On that note, we will be signing off with our usual payoff line at the count of 2. 1, 2, go.
It's always a
Always a
fantastic,
great
fabulous
morning
morning on the
on
One
the
good
Good
morning.
Morning
Education
Education Show.
I'm
I would like
sending
to see
ginger
you
to
do this
everybody. Ciao,
thing.
ciao.
I'd like to see you do this thing in real life.
Okay, don't worry.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. Bye.